The morning sun was shining over New York City when the sky suddenly turned dark. People on the street stopped walking and looked up. They saw something that made their hearts beat fast with fear. Huge ships were floating in the sky above Earth. These ships were bigger than anything humans had ever built. They were so big that they blocked out the sun over entire cities. Admiral Jake Morrison was drinking his morning coffee in his office at Earth Defense Command when the alarm started ringing. Red lights flashed everywhere. His assistant ran into the room with a scared look on her face. "Sir, we have a problem." "A big problem," she said, breathing hard. Jake put down his coffee cup and looked at the big screen on his wall. What he saw made his blood run cold. Hundreds of alien ships were positioned all around Earth. They were shaped like giant triangles and covered in strange glowing symbols. Each ship was at least 10 miles long. "Get me the council on the line right now," Jake ordered. "And call Dr. Lisa Parker. We need her here immediately." Within an hour, Earth's top leaders were gathered in the emergency meeting room deep underground. Dr. Lisa Parker, Earth's best expert on alien life, sat next to General Sam Carter, the head of Earth's military forces. Captain Nick Taylor, who commanded the scout ship USS Falcon, stood near the wall with his arms crossed. "How many ships are there?" Jake asked his intelligence officer. "We count over 300 vessels, sir. All of them are bigger than our largest battleship. We've never seen technology like this before." Before anyone could respond, all the screens in the room turned bright white. Then a face appeared. It was not human. The creature had gray skin, 4 eyes, and a mouth full of sharp teeth. When it spoke, its voice was deep and cold. "I am Ambassador Kethvar of the Zeltharian Empire. I speak for Emperor Zethmor, ruler of 47 worlds and commander of the greatest military force in this galaxy." The room went completely silent. Everyone stared at the screen. "Your species has spread to 12 worlds without permission from the Empire. This is against our laws. You have built colonies in space that belongs to us. This cannot continue." Dr. Parker stepped forward. "We didn't know these worlds belonged to anyone. We can talk about this. Maybe we can find a solution that works, for both of us." The alien's 4 eyes focused on her. "There is no discussion. There is only the Empire's will. You have 72 hours to remove all humans from the 12 colony worlds. You will also surrender your homeworld to Imperial control. All human ships must be destroyed. All human weapons must be given to us." General Carter stood up, his face red with anger. "You can't just come here and demand we give up our homes. Earth has been our world for millions of years." Kethvar made a sound that might have been laughter. "Your species is young and weak. You have no right to claim any world. The Empire has existed for 10,000 years. We have conquered species far stronger than yours. You will obey, or you will be destroyed." "And if we refuse?" Jake asked, though he already knew the answer would be bad. "Then we will demonstrate the power of the Empire." The screen went black for a moment. Then it showed a view of Earth's moon. Luna Base was visible on the surface with its domes and landing pads. It was home to 50,000 people. "Watch carefully," Kethvar said. One of the alien ships moved toward the moon. A bright red beam shot out from the ship's front. When the beam hit Luna Base, everything disappeared in a flash of light. The entire base was gone. 50,000 people were dead in less than a second. The room was so quiet that Jake could hear his own heartbeat. Everyone stared at the screen, in shock. The alien had just killed 50,000 humans like they were nothing. "This is what happens to those who do not obey the Empire," Kethvar continued. "You have 71 hours and 37 minutes remaining. Use this time to prepare your surrender. Do not make us repeat this demonstration on your homeworld." The screen went dark. For a long moment, nobody spoke. Then General Carter slammed his fist on the table. "We can't fight them. Look what they just did to Luna Base. Our biggest warships are like toys compared to their fleet." "We have to try something," Dr. Parker said. "Maybe if we evacuate the colonies quickly, we can buy time to negotiate." Captain Taylor finally spoke up. "There might be another option." Everyone looked at him. What do you mean? Jake asked. Nick pulled out a small device and connected it to the room's computer system. 3 months ago, my ship detected some strange energy readings from the outer colonies. The readings didn't match any known human technology. A map appeared on the main screen. It showed the locations of all 12 human colonies. Several of them were marked with flashing red dots. These energy signatures were coming from Kepler 442b, Wolf 359c, and Gliese 667c. When I tried to investigate, I was told the information was classified at the highest levels. Someone didn't want me to know what was happening on those worlds. Jake felt his pulse quicken. Are you saying there's something on our colonies that we don't know about? I'm saying there's something on our colonies that most of us don't know about. But somebody does. The question is whether they can help us now. General Carter shook his head. Even if we have some secret weapons, look at their fleet. We're talking about hundreds of ships that can destroy a moon base in one shot. Maybe, Captain Taylor said. But maybe the people who built whatever is sending those energy signals have been preparing for something like this. Jake looked around the room at the faces of Earth's leaders. They all looked scared and hopeless. In less than 72 hours, the most powerful military force in the galaxy would return to destroy their world unless they surrendered everything they had built. Send a message to all the colonies, Jake ordered. Tell them about the ultimatum. And Captain Taylor, I want you to find out what's really happening on those outer worlds. If there's any chance we have allies out there, we need to know now. As the meeting ended, Jake stayed behind and looked up at the ceiling. Somewhere above, them 300 alien warships waited like vultures. In 3 days, they would either rule humanity or destroy it completely. He thought about the 50,000 people who had died on Luna Base. Their only crime was being human in a galaxy where that apparently wasn't allowed. If Earth was going to die, at least they would die fighting. But first he needed to find out what secrets humanity had been keeping in the darkness of space. Captain Amy Wright sat in the pilot seat of her ship USS Shadow, floating in the darkness between Earth and the alien fleet. Her ship was invisible to their sensors. The Shadow was built with special technology that made it disappear from radar and heat detectors. She had been watching the Zeltharian ships for 6 hours now. "Control, this is Shadow 1, she whispered into her radio. "I'm inside their formation. These ships are even bigger up close. Each one could carry 1,000,000 soldiers." Back on Earth, Admiral Jake Morrison listened to her report from the command center. "What about their defenses, Amy?" "They're not even trying to hide. No patrol ships, no scanner sweeps. They think we're too weak to be a threat. I could probably fly right up to their main ship and they wouldn't notice." Jake felt a cold anger in his chest. The aliens were so confident that they didn't even bother to protect themselves. They had killed 50,000 humans and now they were just waiting to kill billions more. "Keep watching them, Amy. We need to know everything about their ships." 3,000 light-years away on a world called Kepler 442b, Commander Alex Stone was reading the message from Earth. The words on his screen made his hand shake with rage. The Zeltharians had found Earth. They had destroyed Luna Base. They were demanding humanity's complete surrender. Alex stood up from his desk and walked to the window of his command center. Outside, he could see something that would have shocked anyone from Earth. Hundreds of ships filled the sky above the planet. But these were not alien ships. These were human ships. Ships that Earth had never seen. Ships that were supposed to be secret. "Sir," his assistant called out. "General Kate Williams is on the secure line from Gliese 696 Alex picked up the phone. Kate's voice was sharp and angry. "Alex, did you see the message from Earth?" "I saw it. 50,000 people dead. And they want us to surrender everything." "The bastards picked the wrong species to threaten," Kate said. "How long until your fleet is ready to move?" Alex looked at the data on his computer screen. "All ships are fueled and armed. We can be ready to jump in 12 hours. "Good. I'm mobilizing the Wolf 359 squadron. Ben Hayes says his new weapons are ready for field testing." Dr. Ben Hayes was listening to the conversation from his laboratory on Wolf 359C. Around him, scientists worked on weapons that broke the laws of physics. For 20 years, they had been preparing for this day. The quantum cannons are ready, Ben said. We've also finished the phase shift drives. Our ships can move through dimensions that their sensors can't even detect. Kate's voice came through the speaker. How many ships do we have total? Alex checked his numbers. 200 fully armed vessels across all 3 bases. Each one is smaller than their ships, but our technology is decades ahead of theirs. 200 ships against 300, Kate said. I like those odds. The truth was that humanity had been preparing for Galactic War for 20 years. When the first human colonies were established, Earth's government knew that eventually they would meet other species. Some of those species might be friendly, others might not be. So they created the Prometheus Project. The outer colonies were not just new homes for humans. They were secret military bases. The best scientists, engineers, and soldiers were sent to these worlds with one mission: build a fleet that could protect humanity from any threat. They studied every piece of alien technology they could find. Ancient battlefields in space provided broken weapons and ship parts. Human scientists reverse-engineered everything and made it better. They combined alien technology with human creativity and built something new. The result was the Black Fleet. 200 ships that looked nothing like Earth's military vessels. These ships could bend space and time. They could appear and disappear at will. Their weapons could destroy targets that were light years away. Commander Alex Stone had been chosen to lead the Black Fleet because he understood something that most military officers did not. In space, the side that strikes first usually wins. The side that strikes without being seen always wins. Kate, what's the status of the stealth systems? Alex asked. All ships are equipped with quantum phase generators. We can move through normal space without being detected. We can also shift into parallel dimensions for short periods. Dr. Hayes added, the Zeltharians use sensors designed to detect conventional ships. They've never encountered quantum technology. To them, our ships won't exist until we want them to. Back on Earth, Captain Nick Taylor was meeting with Admiral Morrison in a secure room deep underground. Nick had finally received clearance to share what he knew about the outer colonies. Sir, I've been in contact with the Prometheus Project, Nick said. They've been building a secret fleet for 20 years. Jake stared at him. A secret fleet? How is that possible? The energy readings I detected were from quantum reactors. The outer colonies have been manufacturing advanced warships this entire time. Ships that are more advanced than anything the Zeltharians have. How many ships? 200, sir. And they're already moving toward Earth. Jake felt hope for the first time since the aliens arrived. When will they get here? Their ships can travel faster than anything we've ever built. They'll arrive just as the 72-hour deadline expires. Meanwhile, Captain Amy Wright was still watching the alien fleet from her invisible ship. She saw the Zeltharian soldiers moving around inside their vessels. They looked relaxed and confident. Some of them seemed to be celebrating already. Control. The aliens are acting like they've already won, Amy reported. They're not preparing for battle. They think this is going to be easy. Admiral Morrison smiled for the first time in hours. Let them think that, Amy. In about 60 hours, they're going to learn something about humanity that they never expected. As the deadline approached, Earth cities prepared for the worst. People said goodbye to their families. Children were moved to underground shelters. The world's governments made plans for surrender. But in the darkness of space, 200 ships were racing toward Earth at impossible speeds. Ships built in secret by humanity's best minds. Ships designed for one purpose: to show the galaxy that humanity was not as weak as it appeared. The Zeltharians had made a mistake. They had threatened Earth without knowing what humanity was truly capable of. Soon they would learn that humans had been preparing for this moment for decades. Key. Black Fleet was coming home. The 72 hours were almost over. On Earth, people stood in the streets looking up at the alien ships that still blocked out the sun. Many were crying, others were praying. Everyone knew that in a few minutes the Zeltharians would either accept Earth's surrender or destroy the planet. Ambassador Kethvar appeared on every screen across Earth. His 4 eyes looked cold and empty. Your time is finished, humans. Have you prepared your surrender? Admiral Jake Morrison stood in the command center, surrounded by Earth's military leaders. He looked tired, but his voice was strong. We will never surrender our world to you. Then you have chosen death, Kethvar said. We will begin destroying your cities in 60 seconds. Your species will serve as an example to others who might resist the Empire. The alien ships began moving into position above Earth's major cities. Their weapons started glowing with deadly energy. On the streets below, people held each other and waited for the end. But something was happening in space that the Zeltharians could not see. 200 human ships had arrived at the edge of the solar system. They were invisible to alien sensors, floating in dimensions that the Zeltharians didn't even know existed. Commander Alex Stone stood on the bridge of his flagship, the UHS Retribution, watching the enemy fleet prepare to murder billions of innocent people. All ships, this is Stone, he said into his radio. Target the ships above New York, London, Tokyo, and Moscow first. We save the civilians. Then we make these bastards pay for Luna Base. Captain Ron Blake was commanding the UHS Justice, positioned directly behind the largest Zeltharian ship. His weapons officer, Lieutenant Commander Sarah Mills, had her finger on the trigger of their quantum disruption cannon. Sir, I have a clear shot at their flagship, Sarah said. Wait for the commander's signal, Ron replied. We all strike at the same moment. They won't know what hit them. Chief Engineer Dan Cooper was monitoring the weapon systems from his ship, the UHS Vengeance. His quantum disruption cannons could tear holes in space itself. The Zeltharians had never seen weapons like these because no other species had ever built them. All weapons charged and ready, Dan reported. Their shields won't stop our fire. Nothing can stop our fire. Commander Lisa Ford led a squadron of 20 smaller ships called the Ghost Division. Her ships were the most advanced of all, able to attack from multiple dimensions at the same time. The Zeltharians would think they were fighting ghosts. On Earth, the countdown reached 10 seconds. The alien weapons were fully charged. Kethvar was smiling, showing his sharp teeth. 5 seconds, he announced. 4, 3, 2, now, Commander Stone said quietly. Space itself seemed to explode with light. 200 human ships appeared out of nowhere, surrounding the Zeltharian fleet from every direction. The aliens had no warning. 1 second their sensors showed empty space. The next second they were surrounded by enemy ships that should not have existed. The UHS Retribution fired first. Its quantum cannon hit the Zeltharian flagship with energy that came from another dimension. The alien ship's shields, which could stop normal weapons, did nothing. The beam went right through them and tore a hole in the ship's hull. All around the fleet, human ships opened fire at the same time. Quantum beams, phase missiles, and dimensional torpedoes struck the alien vessels. The Zeltharians had never seen weapons like these. Their ships began exploding one after another. What is happening? Kethvar screamed as his ship shook from multiple hits. Where did these ships come from? Captain Ron Blake opened a communication channel to the alien flagship. His voice was calm and cold. This is Captain Blake of the Human Black Fleet. You attacked our world. You murdered our people. Now you face the consequences. Impossible, Kethvar shouted. You are a primitive species. You have no technology that could threaten the Empire. We've been waiting for you, Ron said. For 20 years we've been preparing for bullies like you to show up. We studied your tactics. We built weapons specifically designed to kill your ships. And now you're going to learn what happens when you threaten Earth. The battle was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The Zeltharian ships were huge and powerful, but they were designed to fight conventional enemies. The human ships moved in ways that seemed impossible. They appeared and disappeared at will. They fired weapons that bent the laws of physics. Commander, Lisa Ford's Ghost Division was attacking from 5 different dimensions at once. Her ships would appear, fire, and vanish before the aliens could even aim at them. To the Zeltharians, it looked like they were being attacked by invisible enemies. Their ships are teleporting, one alien officer reported. Our weapons cannot lock onto them. Chief Engineer Dan Cooper was having the time of his life. His quantum Cannons were ripping through alien hulls like they were made of paper. Each shot created a small black hole that sucked in everything around it. "Sir, their biggest ships are trying to retreat," his weapons officer reported. "No one leaves," Dan said firmly. "They came here to commit genocide. They don't get to run away when the fight turns against them." The human ships moved to block every escape route. The Zeltharians found themselves trapped in a sphere of enemy vessels. Every time they tried to run, more human ships appeared to stop them. Ambassador HFY was panicking now. Half his fleet was already destroyed. His own ship was badly damaged and losing power. "How many ships do you have?" he demanded. Captain Blake's voice came back over the radio. "Enough. We have enough ships to make sure you never threaten anyone again." The battle lasted exactly 6 hours. When it was over, the Zeltharian fleet was nothing but burning wreckage floating in space. Only a few alien ships survived, and they were too damaged to fight. HFY's flagship was drifting powerless, its engines destroyed and its weapons offline. The alien ambassador found himself staring at the main screen as the human flagship moved closer. "This is impossible," he whispered. "The Empire has conquered 47 worlds. We have never been defeated." Commander Stone's face appeared on the screen. He looked tired but satisfied. "You made 2 mistakes, alien. First, you thought Earth was defenseless. Second, you thought we would surrender without a fight. Your species is supposed to be weak," HFY said desperately. "Our intelligence reports said humans were primitive and disorganized." "Your intelligence was wrong," Stone replied. "We've been preparing for this day since we first went to the stars. We knew that eventually we would meet species like yours. Species that think might makes right. Species that destroy worlds for fun." The alien's 4 eyes widened with fear. "What are you going to do to us?" Stone smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "We're going to show the galaxy what happens when someone threatens humanity. You wanted to meet us, alien. Now you're going to learn what that really means." On Earth below, people were cheering in the streets. The alien ships that had darkened their skies were gone, replaced by human vessels that gleamed in the sunlight. Children pointed up at the sky and laughed with joy. The message was clear to everyone watching across the galaxy. Humanity had arrived, and they were not the weak species that everyone thought they were. 1 week after the battle above Earth, Admiral Matt Foster stood in his command ship deep in space. He was looking at a map that showed all 47 worlds controlled by the Zeltharian Empire. Each world was marked with a red dot. Each dot represented millions of enslaved people waiting to be freed. "Sir, we have reports coming in from across their empire," his intelligence officer said. "News of their defeat at Earth is spreading fast. Some of their conquered worlds are already starting to rebel." Matt nodded. The plan was working perfectly. For 20 years, humanity had not just been building ships. They had been studying the Zeltharian Empire, learning about every world they controlled, every species they had enslaved, every weakness in their military. Captain Julie Adams was sitting in her ship, the UHS Vengeance, waiting for orders. Her ship was special even among the Black Fleet. It could travel faster than any other vessel ever built. It could appear anywhere in the galaxy within hours. "Julie, this is Admiral Foster," came the voice over her radio. "Are you ready for Operation Justice?" "Ready and waiting, sir," Julie replied. "My crew has been looking forward to this." Dr. Kevin Shaw was working from his laboratory ship, the UHS Nightmare. He was not a soldier, but his job was just as important. He was a specialist in psychological warfare. His mission was to break the enemy's will to fight before the battles even began. "Sir, I'm ready to begin the fear campaign," Kevin reported. "I have access to every communication system in Zeltharian space." "Do it," Matt ordered. Across the Zeltharian Empire, every screen, radio, and communication device suddenly showed the same message. It was a recording of the battle above Earth showing human ships destroying the alien fleet in hours. But the message was more than just a video. "People of the galaxy," came a human voice speaking in dozens of different languages. "The Zeltharian Empire told you they were invincible. They told you that resistance was impossible. They lied. This is what happened when they attacked Earth." The video showed Zeltharian ships exploding one by one. It showed their flagship drifting, powerless in space. It showed Ambassador Kethvar begging for mercy. The humans are coming. The message continued. Justice is coming. Every world that has suffered under Zeltharian rule will be free. Every species they have enslaved will be liberated. The Empire's time is over. On the Zeltharian military world of Vega 7, General Zeth Kol was watching the broadcast with growing fear. He commanded 300 warships and 50,000 soldiers. A week ago, he had felt invincible. Now he was terrified. Sir, should we prepare our defenses? His aide asked. Prepare for what? Zeth Kol snapped. Did you see what they did to our fleet at Earth? They destroyed 300 ships in 6 hours. Our weapons couldn't even touch them. The aide looked confused. But sir, we have more ships here than they had at Earth. It doesn't matter, the general said quietly. Numbers mean nothing when your enemy can appear and disappear at will, when their weapons can cut through our shields like they don't exist. He was right to be afraid. Captain Julie Adams was already moving toward Vega 7 at impossible speed. Her ship traveled through folded space, covering light years in minutes. She would arrive at the military world in less than an hour. Commander Pete Young was leading a different kind of mission. His job was to free the enslaved worlds, but not by conquest. Instead, he would give the conquered species the tools they needed to free themselves. Pete's ship, the UHS Liberation, appeared above a world called Keth 9. This planet was home to a species called the Dreknari, who had been enslaved by the Zeltharians for 30 years. The planet was covered with factories and mines where the Dreknari were forced to work. This is Commander Young of the Human Liberation Fleet. Pete broadcast to the planet. People of Keth 9, your oppressors are no longer invincible. We offer you the chance to take back your world. The Dreknari had heard the broadcasts about Earth. They knew the humans had defeated the mighty Zeltharian fleet. When cargo pods began falling from Pete's ship, they rushed to see what was inside. The pods contained weapons, advanced human weapons that could destroy Zeltharian equipment easily. There were also instruction manuals written in the Dreknari language, showing them how to use the weapons. Within hours, the enslaved Dreknari were attacking their guards. The Zeltharian soldiers on the planet had expected an easy life controlling primitive aliens. They were not prepared to fight people, armed with human weapons. The slaves are rebelling, the Zeltharian governor reported frantically. They have weapons we've never seen before. Our troops are being overwhelmed. Similar scenes were happening on dozens of worlds across the Empire. Human ships would appear, drop weapons and supplies, then disappear. The conquered species would rise up against their oppressors. The Zeltharian military, used to fighting helpless victims, found themselves facing determined enemies with superior weapons. Captain Julie Adams reached Vega 7 just as General Zeth Kol was trying to organize his defenses. Her ship appeared directly above the planet's main military base. She was completely invisible to their sensors. General Zeth Kol, Julie's voice came over the base's communication system. This is Captain Adams of the Human Black Fleet. You have 60 seconds to surrender your base and all your ships. The general looked around his command center in panic. His sensors showed nothing, no ships, no enemies, nothing. But he knew the humans were there. How do I know you won't kill us all? He asked. Because we're not like you, Julie replied. We don't murder defenseless people. Surrender now and your soldiers will live. Keep fighting and we'll destroy every ship and weapon on this planet. Zeth Kol looked at his officers. They all looked as scared as he felt. What choice do we have? He asked quietly. None, sir, his aide replied. All units, this is General Zeth Kol, he announced over the base radio. Lay down your weapons. Surrender to the humans. Julie's ship became visible as it landed on the... First, the general watched through his window as human soldiers walked out. They were not what he had expected. They looked calm and professional, not like the savage warriors he had imagined. You made the right choice, General, Julie said as she entered his command center. Your soldiers will be allowed to return to your homeworld. Your weapons and ships will be destroyed. What about the conquered worlds? Zeth Kol asked. They're free now, Julie said simply. The age of the Zeltharian Empire is over. Across the galaxy, the same scene was playing out on world after world. Zeltharian military bases surrendered without firing a shot. Enslaved species rose up with human weapons and freed themselves. The mighty empire that had seemed invincible was collapsing in days. Dr. Kevin Shaw monitored the psychological impact of the campaign. "Sir, morale in the Zeltharian military is at 0, he reported to Admiral Foster. "Most of their commanders are surrendering as soon as our ships appear." "What about their homeworld?" Matt asked. "Emperor Zethmore is calling for peace talks. He wants to negotiate." Matt smiled. "Tell him we'll negotiate, but the terms are simple. Complete surrender, dissolution of the empire, freedom for all conquered. Worlds, no exceptions." The message was clear to everyone in the galaxy. Humanity had not just defeated the Zeltharian Empire, they had destroyed it completely, world by world, until nothing remained but the memory of what happened to bullies, who threatened innocent people. The hunters had truly become the hunted. 3 weeks after the Battle of Earth, Fleet Admiral Chris Johnson stood on the bridge of his flagship looking at the blue and green world below. This was Zelthara Prime, the homeworld of the Empire that had once ruled 47 worlds. Today, it would fall. The planet was defended by the last of the Zeltharian fleet. 100 ships surrounded their homeworld like a protective shell. Massive orbital stations pointed their weapons toward space, ready to fight to the death. But they were not fighting a normal enemy. Captain Ann Scott commanded the final assault fleet. Her 50 ships were the best of the best, equipped with the most advanced weapons humanity had ever built. Each ship could destroy an entire fleet by itself. "Sir, all ships are in position," Ann reported. "The quantum isolation field is ready." Chris nodded. "Begin the operation, Captain." What happened next shocked every scientist in the galaxy. The human ships fired special weapons that bent space and time around Zelthara Prime. The entire planet, along with its defending fleet, was pulled out of normal space into a pocket dimension. Emperor Zethmore was sitting on his throne when the stars suddenly disappeared from his palace windows. His planet was now floating alone in empty space, surrounded by nothing but darkness and 50 human ships. "What have you done?" he screamed at his military advisors. "The humans have isolated our world, my lord," his science minister said with a shaking voice. "We are cut off from the rest of the galaxy. No one can help us now." Dr. Mary Walsh was monitoring the operation from her ship, the UHS Destiny. She was the architect of humanity's new plan for the galaxy. The old way of doing things, where strong, species-conquered weak ones, was going to end today. "Isolation field is stable," Mary reported. "Zelthara Prime is completely cut off. No communications in or out. No ships can enter or leave." Fleet Admiral Johnson opened a communication channel to the planet below. "Emperor Zethmore, this is Fleet Admiral Johnson of the Human Federation. You have 1 hour to surrender your government and your military. This is your only warning." The Emperor was a proud creature who had never lost a battle in his long life. Never. The Zeltharian Empire will not bow to primitive humans. We will fight to the last warrior. Then you will learn why that is a mistake, Chris replied calmly. The battle for Zelthara Prime began exactly 1 hour later. It was the strangest battle in galactic history because it lasted exactly 47 minutes. 1 minute for each world the Empire had conquered. The human ships did not fight like normal vessels. They moved through multiple dimensions at once, appearing and disappearing like ghosts. Their weapons fired energy that came from parallel universes. The Zeltharian defenses, designed to stop conventional attacks, were useless. Captain Ann Scott's ship appeared directly above the planet's capital city. Her quantum cannons fired precise shots that destroyed only military targets. The Emperor's palace, military bases, and weapon factories were turned to dust in seconds. But the civilian areas were left completely untouched. "Sir, all military targets have been eliminated," Ann reported. "Civilian casualties are 0. Commander Joe Baker was leading the liberation forces that landed on the planet's surface. His soldiers moved through the capital city with perfect discipline. They arrested Zeltharian military officers but left ordinary citizens alone. Emperor Zethmore was found hiding in his underground bunker, surrounded by his last loyal guards. When Joe's soldiers broke down the door, the Emperor expected to be killed immediately. Instead, he was treated like any other prisoner. "You're under arrest for crimes against the galaxy," Joe said simply. "You will stand trial for the murder of billions of innocent people." The Emperor was brought before Fleet Admiral Johnson on the human flagship. The once mighty ruler of 47 worlds now looked like a scared old creature begging for his life. "Please," Zethmore said, "have mercy on my people. They were only following orders." Chris looked at him with cold eyes. "Your people are not our enemy. Your government is. Your military is. You personally are responsible for the deaths of countless innocents across the galaxy." "What will you do to us?" the Emperor asked. Dr. Mary Walsh stepped forward. She had prepared for this moment for years. "The Zeltharian Empire is dissolved, effective immediately. Your military will be disbanded forever. Your weapons will be destroyed. Your government will be replaced with a democratic council elected by your own people. And me," Zethmore whispered, "you will spend the rest of your life in prison, thinking about what you did to all those worlds." Chris said, "Consider yourself lucky. Many species would have simply executed you." Across the galaxy, Commander Joe Baker's liberation forces were finishing their work. The last Zeltharian military bases had surrendered. The final enslaved worlds were free. In just 3 weeks, humanity had accomplished what no other species had ever done. They had completely destroyed a galactic empire without conquering it themselves. On the freed world of Keth 9, the Draknari people were celebrating in their streets. Children who had been born into slavery were now free to play and laugh. Adults were choosing their own leaders for the first time in 30 years. Similar celebrations were happening on 46 other worlds. Species that had given up hope were now building new governments. Planets that had been strip-mined were being restored. The galaxy was healing, but humanity's work was not finished. Dr. Mary Walsh began implementing the new galactic order. A federation of free worlds was established, with representatives from every liberated species. The Federation had one simple rule: no species would ever be allowed to conquer another again. Admiral Jake Morrison, back on Earth, received reports from across the galaxy. 47 worlds were free and democratic. Trade was replacing conquest. Science was replacing warfare. The galaxy was becoming a place where different species could live in peace. "Sir, what should we do with the Black Fleet now?" asked Captain Nick Taylor. Jake looked out his window at Earth's blue sky. The alien ships that had once darkened it were gone forever. "The fleet goes back to the shadows, Nick. Back to watching and waiting. If another empire like the Zeltharians ever appears, we'll be ready." Captain Amy Wright's stealth ship USS Shadow was already patrolling the outer galaxy, invisible and silent. Her job was to watch for new threats and make sure the peace humanity had created would last. On worlds across the galaxy, children who had never known freedom were going to school for the first time. Artists who had been forbidden to create were painting and singing. Scientists who had been forced to build weapons were now exploring the mysteries of the universe. The galaxy had learned a simple lesson. Humanity might have arrived late to the cosmic community, but they had brought something with them that was more powerful than any weapon. They had brought justice. Emperor Zethmore spent his days in his prison cell, thinking about the empire he had lost. Sometimes he wondered how such a primitive species had defeated him so completely. The answer was simple, though he would never understand it. Humanity had not fought for conquest or glory. They had fought for something much more dangerous to bullies and tyrants. They had fought for the idea that every living being deserved to be free. And that idea, once released into the galaxy, could never be stopped. The stars belonged to everyone now.